Welcome back, everybody, to our final Swiss round at Charlotte Day 2 Regionals. We've got the winning in match to top 8. Two big-name players here. We've seen them already on stream today. Each of them, Peter Kica returning with his Vikavolt Tapu Bulu deck, and Kyle Sabelhaus on that Gardevoir GX, Zoroark GX deck. Rather even matchup. We can talk a little bit about the intricacies of how Kica is going to handle these Gardevoirs.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close because the Tapu Bulu does have that great math on Zoroark GX to be able to take an easy knockout, 210 with the Choice Band when discarding all your energy.
Yep.
But with Gardevoir, not as much. Gardevoir, you're 20 damage short. He's not playing any Tapu Koko. He's not playing any Professor Kukui. He's pretty much playing everything to be a straightforward list. So the only way he's going to be able to soften it up is either Grubbin or Horn Attack from Bulu itself.
Yeah, we saw how just consistent and powerful Kica's list was in the previous round that we had streamed him. But with all that consistency comes a price, and that's all of these tech options. Like you said, the Tapu Koko or the Professor Kukui, opting not to play those tech cards for Gardevoir, saying, you know what, if I'm super consistent and can just knock out Zoroarks over and over, I'm going to be successful. And thus far, he has been. But we're going to see now if he can really reach that 230 as the players have already started. We'll transition into the game here, and we'll see as their opening turns unfold who's going to ultimately come out on top and really stamp their ticket to top 8.
Absolutely. So we do see the Bridget coming down right for Kyle. So the ideal opening for him, not as ideal on Kica's side. He does open with the Tapu Lele, not his preferred starter there. But with Peter Kica opening Tapu Lele, that does give him an option to be able to not have that Grubbin active right off the bat. I believe that's kind of why he decided to open it instead of the Grubbin.
Yeah, certainly interesting because he did have that option. But,
right.
I mean, you got to be a little bit worried of Kyle having, on his second turn, a Zoroark GX and a double colorless, because then you just have enough Pokemon on the play and you knock out potentially Kica's only Grubbin play. So
absolutely
an interesting move there. We'll see if it ends up paying off. He might have, he's got to have an out to another supporter if he's making this decision.
Yeah,
so
I would say so.
His hand would have to be live.
When going second, I like this play just because of exactly what you said. That aggressive Zoroark is just too easy to be able to come by, or even aggressive Gardevoir, it looks like in this situation potentially. Kyle did prize one copy of Gardevoir and a single one of his fairy energies. It's 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 of his DCEs, 1 out of 4 of his puzzles. So a couple of clunky cards that you don't really want to see in there, but nothing too bad. And on Peter's side, everything's pretty normal. One energy, 1 Vikavolt. Nothing, again, too out of the ordinary that you're seeing on the prize cards on that end.
You know, this is the third time we have seen Kyle Sabelhaus on the stream this weekend, and I feel like every single game he has prized one of his 2 Gardevoir. It seems like he's always got a Gardevoir in the prizes, and once again here, only going to have 1 available to him. Might come into play here because it's going to be an attacker that he is going to want to use because it can take a hit from that Tapu Bulu.
Right. He should be all right, though. I mean, he does also have the Glade option, which isn't the best card in this matchup, but it's also not the worst. It does force Tapu Bulu to either use its GX attack or discard all of its energies for just 1 prize instead of the usual 2. It does have easy knockouts, of course, the Glade on the Vikavolt on the bench. So there's a couple different things that he could definitely use that Glade for, but Gardevoir, of course, being the better option of the 2.
Yeah, Peter's showing the strength of his list and the consistency that it provides, plays his items, draws into all of those basic Pokemon, plays the first turn Lily to draw 7 new cards to go up to 8. Got a large hand to certainly follow through with his first turn into the second turn, getting that Candy Vikavolt, and then start applying some pressure over back to Kyle. The Evo Soda is going to put Zoroark GX on the board. He can start the trade train, try and get Gardevoir GX into the active and start putting on some pressure of his own.
Absolutely. Getting that first Zoroark on the board is going to be crucial. He does already have a Mallow in hand, and it looks like a Sycamore as well. So he's kind of trying to decide on which option to go for. If he does decide to use a Sycamore, he would lose one of his puzzles of time.
Yep.
Mallow would be able to guarantee him a Gardevoir GX here if he wants. I don't really know that that's the option he's probably going to go for. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw like a Zoroark double colorless energy here, something like that, to be able to keep the trade engine running, but at the same time get that aggression that you want to be able to put some damage on that Tapu Lele.
Right, if he is to Mallow for the rare candy and the Gardevoir GX, Infinite Force does not do a lot of damage right now. So, I mean, yeah, it does soften up the Tapu Lele so that maybe Right is Beating can find that knockout later, but we'll see how Kyle ends up playing this out. He has chosen his 2 cards. One of them was Gardevoir GX. I guess the other one surely has to be Rare Candy because he also does not have that in his hand. Going to use his 1 trade he has on board for those 2 cards and doesn't really have much else in his hand other than another Mallow. There it is, Rare Candy Gardevoir. Infinite Force, if he attaches the double colorless he has in his hand, would be 90. That's a reasonably good number, but he's going to go and attach it, and there it is. Infinite Force, 90 damage to the Tapu Lele.
Even just hitting it for just the 1 energy, I like that play, because even putting 30 damage on that Tapu Lele means that a Zoroark GX can actually take it out in 1 hit later with a Choice Band.
Right.
Even honestly, if he had attacked with his Rolls, I would have been happy with that, because with the 2 energy attack, he would have also been able to set up the knockout for the Zoroark later as well. Of course, 90 damage is the best option there, being able to set up the 2-shot right off the bat.
Yeah.
But we do see Kica, of course, pulling that Lele back into the Tapu Bulu. He is going to be Ultra Balling and looking for a Sycamore with another Lele here, which that tells you right off the bat he doesn't have the Rare Candy Vikable option just yet.
Right.
And then again, also an Energy Recycler gets used already.
Yeah, I was going to point out that Kica had already gone through 3 of his 5 Lightning Energies into the discard pile. Playing one of his 2 Energy Recyclers will replenish this back into the deck, so not nearly as big of a deal at this point, but only going to have 1 more Recycler to close the game out, and probably going to be discarding a lot of energies with that Nature's Judgment attack in order to get to that 210 to knock out Zoroark, so we'll have to keep an eye on just how many energies Kica has as the game continues.
Yeah, absolutely. Always got to be managing those resources. We are going to see that Horn attack we were talking about.
Yep.
60 damage on the Gardevoir, which means that the Choice Band won't be needed when the 180 comes out.
Yeah.
So he is setting up the damage to be able to follow up going forward.
Now, Kyle's got a couple options here. He plays 1 Max Potion, and he has a Mallow in his hand. Max Potion is not in the prizes, so if he wants to, he could clear that damage off, but he loses 3 energies in total through the double colorless and the fairy energy in making that play. His other option is he can attach another double colorless energy and just knock out the Bulu straight up and say, you know what? Yeah, my Gardevoir's a little weak, but you have no other Bulu on the bench. You've got no Vikavolt. I'm just going to build a huge Gardevoir and just say, hey, you can't respond in time.
Yeah, I kind of like that play. Well, actually, I didn't see that his other card was Cynthia. That, to me, is one of the best options here because you can get a lot of different options out of this, and you still have one of your trades, at the very least minimum 1 trade coming in here. But had he just gone for the double colorless energy and gone for the knockout, go for a double colorless energy, go for a Zoroark, set up your board even more, like as much as you possibly can, and then next turn, you would have taken 2 prize cards, so if your opponent's not ending, you're at a minimum of a 5-card hand starting at that point.
Yeah.
So you've got a big enough hand to start using those double trades.
Yeah, now this Cynthia can certainly still pay off if he has a double colorless or a fairy in a Choice Band. Gets another Zoroark, so he's going to be seeing 4 more cards this turn. And actually, he's got an Evo Soda as well, so he's going to be seeing potentially 6 more cards this turn. And we just, once again, get to see the power of trade. Zoroark's such a good card.
Yeah, being able to use multiple of them 1 turn, it's really just where this card just actually starts to begin to shine, increasing your probability of getting whatever you need, and then, of course, turning your deck into this mini little deck building game, where you're getting rid of the cards you don't want to only replace them with things that are going to be relevant going forward.
Yeah, we always see those Bridget, everyone playing 3 Bridget in these Zoroark lists, and then the second you get that turn 1 Bridget off, they instantly become, oh, I'm just going to discard this, and they become train fodder. So you're going to discard and draw 2 cards. His second trade for the turn, he discards a Tapu Lele.
That's another Tapu Lele.
Still does not have the energy or the Choice Band, and still misses it after his 3rd trade, which means Infinite Force for 120. Field Blower is important here because Peter could have used the Tapu Wilderness GX attack for 180, which would have been a knockout on the Gardevoir. Also would have removed any damage that Kyle does put on it. So now Peter's going to have to find another Choice Band if that's how he wants to go about this. And Kyle's attack just going to be 120 damage here.
Yeah, 120 is still fine though, because Kyle is the one doing the first damage here. He does have that Lele on the bench with damage as well. Peter is not playing any copies of Parallel City, it's just Kyle.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have a way to remove that Lele with damage off the bench. So if Kyle can just set up a couple of easy knockouts throughout the rest of the game, he's going to put himself into a clear victory path, especially for when he gets that second Gardevoir GX up.
Right, it's okay if this Gardevoir even just goes down because exactly like you said, having that weakened Tapu Lele means Riot's Beating can easily pick up that knockout at any point that Kyle wishes. So starting to map out how he's going to find these 6 prizes as Kica still trying to map out how he's going to find that Vikavolt.
Which it looks like I think he just did. Considering he went for the Lele for an Ultra Ball, he's going to be using the Ultra Ball to grab the Vikavolt. We'll see the Rare Candy in hand as well. So his Vikavolt finally going to be coming online.
Yeah.
This is the lifeblood of this deck. Without Vikavolt, you really can't accomplish anything. So the fact that he's in play here now is finally going to be looking upside for Peter. He's going to be able to take the knockout on this Gardevoir if he wants with this Tapu Bulu. He will be leaving it at that 120 damage, unless he has a choice band is able, another choice band is able to pull off the Tapu Wilderness.
Yeah, a slight downside to this play that Peter is making here is that he's already played one of his heavy ball and he prized the second copy, so he has to Skyla for Ultra Ball here and kind of go down to a really small hand size. Does not have the Oranguru yet, so can't really fill that hand back up unless he's got another draw supporter.
Doesn't even have the bench space for the Oranguru.
Yeah,
so
right.
At this point, Peter's got 3 Tapu Leles on the bench, which is not as bad when you're thinking about something like this deck here, just because of the fact that Tapu Lele is actually a decent attacker when you can load 5 energies onto it. I mean, it can work out pretty well. It's a good counter card almost to that Gardevoir, if they try to go for the large Gardevoir play at any point.
Yeah, Peter definitely demonstrating that a large Tapu Lele can just take some prizes really easy. If you just build 5 or 6 energies on it, closing out against Golisopod Zoroark in a previous round here. And Kyle's turn now, back over to him, has a double colorless energy. The Riot Speeding will be good enough to get this knockout. It is important to pick up this knockout here, because if he were to have missed it, Tapu Wilderness would have been really brutal to heal that damage off. So he's going to get it. Ends Peter down to 4. And like we were saying, no bench space for Oranguru, no Oranguru on the board. And might actually stick a little bit. Peter's got no Tapu Bulu, so he's going to probably have to go with his Tapu Lele right now.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that Kyle decided to hold that Zorua there, knowing that he has his Parallel City in deck. He's not going to place it to remove the bench from Peter's side, but if he can actually flip it towards his own side, limiting his own bench, sure, he'll be reducing the damage output, but he's still doing enough to knock out the 2 damage Pokemon with Zoroark anyways. But at that point, he would actually be reducing Peter's damage by 20, which is really going to work wonders. It makes it so Horn Attack can't set up Gardevoir. It makes it so that the Tapu Bulu can't discard all of its energy and one-shot a Zoroark. So a lot of different things that can really come out of that Parallel City coming into play.
Right, yeah, I'm sure we will see that at some point. The red side of Parallel City reducing fire, water, and grass-type Pokemon attacks by 20 really makes the math a little bit more in Kyle's favor as he trades a couple more times, gets another Ralts down, definitely feels good about that. He's going to take that knockout and match Peter's 4 prizes each.
Now, Peter going down to 4 cards there was pretty big because, again, like you said, he doesn't have that Oranguru in play, and he has all 3 of his Tapu Leles down, which means that he needs some manually draw supporters here if he wants to be able to kind of continue this flow. It looks like he's going to play a second Energy Recycler while he's mapping that out, and I did see a Professor Sycamore. So he's going to be losing all of his Energy Recyclers at this point if he does choose to use it.
Yeah.
That would be the second one already.
And also committing the choice band to the active Tapu Lele and another choice band to a bench Tapu Lele, signaling that, hey, I'm running out of choice bands. One's already in the discard pile. 2 more now on the board means we're probably not going to see very many more Tapu Bulu choice banded Nature's Judgments to knock out Zoroarks in one hit. Peter really committing now to Tapu Lele at this point and hoping that they can really carry him through the rest of the game.
Peter does have, and I'm sorry, he did not end up playing an Energy Recycler there. He was just moving his energies around to organize them. But Kyle does still have a Field Blower left. He's played 1. He's got 1 of his prize cards, but there's still 1 remaining in his deck, which means pulling those choice bands off is actually going to make a pretty big difference. It will leave Peter at just that 1 final choice band that is, if I can see the way this matchup's going to go, at some point, if he needs it, it's going to be a very crucial moment when that choice band has to come down for Peter.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And he gets the second Vikavolt down as he just naturally draws into it with the Rare Candy as well. Got the Tapu Bulu on the board as well, so he's going to be able to start putting some energies on that. His options now are, do I continue to commit to this Lele in the active with this strong charge, or do I take a more conservative route here and put these energies on Tapu Bulu on the bench? At least the grass does go to the Bulu, and that is the only energy attachment he's going to make. He could have opted to also attach Lightning, but decides, I don't need to at this point right now. I'm going to leave it in the deck and make that decision later when I have a little bit more information on what Kyle's plans are going to be.
He did not have a choice band there, so there really wouldn't have been a way for him to knock out this Zoroark, even with the Tapu Bulu. He had the double Vikavolt, so he could have set up the energy, but like I said, without that choice band, wasn't actually going to be able to come up. Yeah, we do see Kyle already having that Field Blower in his hand. He has 1 puzzle at a time. If he's able to find the second puzzle, he's going to be able to not only get that second Gardevoir GX out, but really just be able to set these next coming turns out.
Yeah, he's going to keep trading in order to find the cards. In order to do that, not playing any copies of Rescue Stretcher, that is Kyle. So the only way he's going to be able to get that Gardevoir back is through the puzzle of time, as you said. Definitely a lot of options in his hand, can play this Mallow, still has a trade, so he can get whatever cards he wants. If he wants to go for the double puzzle, he may. pulls up a Choice Band, and I did not see the other card. Did you see
Puzzle
which
of
one
Time.
it was? It was
Choice
a puzzle.
Band and Puzzle of Time.
So he is going to go for Puzzle of Time and Choice Band.
He actually has the Fairy Energy and the double colorless energy, so I would assume he's probably going to go Rare Candy, Gardevoir, Secret Spring of Fairy Energy, double colorless energy, and a Choice Band, and that's actually going to be enough to knock out that Tapu Lele.
That is a clean knockout right there. It puts Kyle in a great position as well because 230 HP Gardevoir, certainly not easy to deal with. He's going to play those double puzzles.
Now, the great part here is that he doesn't have a specific card he needs for this combination that he has to get with the puzzle besides the Gardevoir. So this second card option he's going to choose, like, he can get whatever he feels he needs for the rest of this matchup, being maybe another double colorless energy. He could get this other puzzle here, so that way he still does have that one puzzle option
Right, yeah.
in the future.
This is a funny play that we've seen multiple players across this tournament make on stream, where they double puzzle, get the card they need right this second, and also other puzzle of time for later, because they know they still have an odd number of puzzles out remaining, and by making an even number back up to 2, you get another trigger where you can activate both of them at the same time to get any 2 cards out of the discard pile. He's even got a max potion here to heal the Zoroark as well. Retreats with the Float Stone, and Infinite Force is a clean knockout, 180 damage. There is the attack. Takes some energy out of his prizes as well, so Kica can't really respond. Kyle can continue to build more energies on this Gardevoir and just blow up whatever ends up being active. Kica going to consider what is going to be promoted to the active position. Doesn't really have any good options here. You can go into the Bulu. Bulu is not going to be able to reach 230 damage.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be going for the Horn attack here to try to set this up, unless he manages to just pull a Grubbin down onto the bench or something and use that instead. But I don't really see him being able to do much more than that, unless he's able to, again, also pull off this crazy Guzma player.
Yeah, maybe
he just doesn't have those resources.
Maybe he can go find his Oranguru and use Psychic. The Oranguru is there in the deck. He could maybe set up Psychic. Psychic would be 60 damage plus 20 for each on the Gardevoir, so that'd be 120. And is only worth 1 prize, so it's okay if Kyle were to knock it out.
Interestingly enough, he actually just went through his deck with the Vikavolt for Strong Charge and just chose not to get any energy at all.
So he's checking the counts in his deck remaining to see what options he still has available, what resources are still in this game. He still has a second Strong Charge available to him because he does have the double Vikavolt in play right now, so he can still double attach to the Tapu Bulu in the active and still get an attack off. We'll see what this N ends up doing. He does N away Kyle's game-winning Guzma and does draw a Oranguru as well. Field Blowers, both tools, those can certainly be useful to get rid of. It makes that Gardevoir hurt just a little less.
Absolutely. Being able to get rid of those is good as well, but I mean, again, Peter only having this one last Choice Band is really going to make this a lot more difficult. You know, he's not going to be able to take that knockout on Zoroark very easily when it comes time. Even doing the 30 here against Gardevoir, he still needs a Choice Band afterwards to knock it out with the second attack of Tapu Bulu.
Yep. This Energy Recycler going to replenish more of the energies. That is the second one, so what energies that Peter has available to him in the deck as he goes to Strong Charge right now, those are the only ones that he has. He's going to go back into another Tapu Lele with the Choice Band, and the Bulu just going to go with the Horn Attack for 30 and soften up the Gardevoir, and Peter's going to say, I'm going to build so much damage on this Lele, and we'll just have to see if Kyle has Tapu Lele and a DCE to respond with his own energy drive.
At this point, Kyle just needs DCE, Fairy Energy, and Choice Band?
Just a double colorless energy.
Yeah, he just literally needs a DCE. That's
in his hand right now. Guzma and pull up the Lele and use Rightus Beating also works.
Any of those worked.
Yep. So Kyle certainly in the dominant position there, going to take the first game. I'd like to say that it ended up being kind of close, and you'd think that if Peter were to have drawn more Bulus and could have softened up those Gardevoirs a little bit easier and done the 210 attacks, maybe he's able to come back and start to win that game. We might see that in game 2 because this matchup is certainly not largely Zoroark Gardevoir favored.
I would say no. I'd say it could go either player's way. I think the biggest thing that Peter wants is he needs to get that turn 2 Vikavolt.
Yeah.
I believe it was turn 4 when he finally got the Vikavolt out in this game, and if he had gotten it on turn 2 and been able to apply the pressure the way that the deck normally does, Kyle would have been in a much worse position than he was, because Kyle basically had all the time in the world to set up his deck so that it didn't have any dead cards. He traded some really good stuff early on. He got rid of all of his Bridgets, his extra Field Blowers. He traded the cards that he wanted to put in his discard pile.
Yep, and also worth noting, Kyle is able to take that game without using his Parallel City, so that's another tool at his disposal to also kind of maneuver this matchup and really put a lot of pressure on Peter to say, now you don't even knock out my Zoroark. Like, my stuff is just really tanky. And if you don't have Field Blower, you're not going to be able to do anything of any sort of consequence.
Absolutely. So with that, though, we do see the players gearing up for game 2. We are going to see Peter going to be going first in this match. So let's see what kind of impact that made after Kyle took the first play of this round. We do not see that Gardevoir prize this time, like you were mentioning, but we do see a puzzle time prize. 2 grass energy on Kica's side, so both players probably fairly content with the prizes and the way they're playing out there.
Yeah, not too bad. The 2 grass energy on Peter's side might end up hurting him a little bit, as he's going to open up this game with Heavy Ball, gets his basics on the board, and still has his supporter for the turn. Can go for Lily. I think he's got Ultra Ball, and he does indeed. He can go and grab Lily because not in the prizes, so just go get Tapu Lele. It will mean he will already have 2 Tapu Leles benched, or at least on the board, one being active, right? He's not even going to do that. He must already have a draw supporter in his hand. Having 2 Grubbins, really important. You don't want to have just the one in case it were to get knocked out through Guzma. So have a little bit of insurance here, and yeah, he's already got the Professor Sycamore, so no need to go search for the Lily. Going to play down his entire hand before drawing 7 cards. It can even get the energy attachment here.
That was a pretty much ideal start for Peter there, getting double Grubbin, energy attachment, choice band, Sycamore. Opening Lele's not the worst in this deck, but it's obviously not the best thing that you want either. Kyle was literally conceding.
His hand must have been terrible.
I didn't see what it was.
I have no clue.
But it was so bad, and he saw Peter's perfect start that he said, I'm not even going to bother playing this.
Wow.
We're just going to go have a game 3. So this is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the last Swiss round here. The winner of this match advances over to the top 8. This is so important to Kyle that he says, I need to make sure that I can be fully focused with all of the time that I need for this 3rd game.
Yeah.
So with that, he said, I'm done. We're going to go. This is one last game, and the winner of this game will be the winner of the match and will advance to the top 8 of the Charlotte Pokemon Regional Championship.
Yeah, an incredibly calculated move by Kyle because, I mean, Peter's technically not even threatening knocking out that Lele yet. He still needed Rare Candy, Vikavolt, and another energy in order to get that knockout.
Yep.
Kyle's saying, you know what, I don't even want to see if you can do that. I'm sure you probably can because you just drew a lot of cards with that Sycamore the previous turn. I want as much time as possible to be able to make all the micro decisions necessary in order to really edge out his opponent in Peter in his final game.
No, I agree. I mean, he did what he needed to there. I may have waited for the Vikavolt before I actually decided to concede. I mean, for all we knew, Peter's hand was a complete brick at that point, too.
Right.
But I don't really blame Kyle for making the decision that he did.
Yeah, it's impossible for us to know exactly what was in his hand just due to the way he was holding it. It might have just been 7 unplayable cards in total. And if you just don't want to sit there and pass and say, if he doesn't have Vikavolt, then I technically survive a turn, but I'm still not doing anything.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It was probably something like Field Blower, Choice Band, Floatstone, Parallel City. That's probably something what he was looking at.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't do anything right now. Both players have drawn their opening hands. Let's look into the prizes. Kyle not prizing Gardevoir, but does prize double Puzzle of Time this time around. On Kica's side, double Vikavolt, only 1 left in the deck.
That's going to be pretty big. And Kyle slamming down that Bridget without even having to get a Tapu Lele. We're going to see double. This is incredible. Kyle already off to a way better start. He hasn't picked up his cards just yet, so he's doing better than the last game. But doubles are coming down. The second Ralts is coming into play. Kyle off that strong opening. Like he said, double puzzle prize, not really too worrisome because you just kind of take one, take the other, and it'll end up playing out. Right. It's about as bad as prizing 1 when you prize 2. Yeah. You're still going to have the combination of 2 in the deck that you're going to want for later in the game anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we go look at Peter's, like we were saying, there are 2 Vikavolts in there, and as long as he's got the 3rd one, it's still live to be searched for through the whole Heavy Ball, through the Ultra Ball. You can still just naturally draw into it, so maybe not necessarily as impactful as you might want to believe, but if it were to get knocked out and Peter is not able to take any prizes early, or maybe he has Sycamore and has to discard the only other one that he's got and it's currently in his hand, then that prize becomes a lot more important. So Peter going to get the news with this Wonder Tag as he searches through his deck and sees, oh, I don't have any Vikavolts, and actually is pulling N to his hand.
He looks at it, he doesn't like it, it's not very good, and he doesn't play Bridget, so he doesn't really have any other cards that he can play. Otherwise, it's a Lily, and it looks like there's a lot of unplayable cards in that hand, so he says, well, it looks like we're just going to have to go right back in and try this all over again.
All right, yeah, so both players going to now shuffle, get a set of 6. Interesting that Peter does decide to go with N instead of Cynthia, because at the end of the day, Cynthia and N both give him 6 cards, but he decides that he's going to give Kyle a new set of 6, and say those Cynthias for later in the game, in case he were to get end, Cynthia is definitely a better card to recover from a late game end than, of course, end itself.
Right. I'm curious to hear what all you make it was behind that. But Kyle does get this fresh new hand of 6 over here. We see at least one Zoroark GX in his hand as well as a Tapu Lele, so he is going to be able to play some cards. But
Peter's hand is not that great.
Grubbin.
No Grubbin at all.
Grubbin.
Actually plays no cards at all. Just plays the N and then looks at the 6 and says, Horn attack for 30. We'll go back to Kyle and see if he can really. He's got that Zoroark already. Might be able to find another one. We'll see what happens here.
Now, with that, though, I mean, he does get that first trade online. It looks like he's got another Ralts in his hand if he wants to use, or the Tapu Lele. A couple different options of what he can go with.
It is going to be Tapu Lele. We might see Mallow in order to just immediately build up that Gardevoir as he moves it to the front. Yeah, Mallow. It's going to be Gallade, actually.
This is what I was thinking. He actually doesn't have enough cards to be able to do the Gardevoir play because he doesn't have the Fairy Energy. So by going with just that Rare Candy Gallade, kind of nice because then at that point you don't really have to worry about looking for any kind of that's it. You just grab those two, you're hitting for enough damage, and when he didn't even play down that Grubbin, you're not getting knocked out, so why even let them damage the Gardevoir?
Yeah, exactly. Tapu Bulu, the Tapu Bulu is just going to Horn attack again for another 30, so Gallade can start to put on some pressure, do 130 damage because he has already played his supporter in that Mallow. And also just turns on the Premonition, which is just a fantastic consistency ability.
Oh yeah, once you get Premonition online, this deck just starts to flow like nobody's business. It's probably like one of the most crazy decks to watch, having Premonition and having multiple trades online, and having Mallow in your deck. They come up with some of the craziest card combinations and do some amazing plays.
Yeah, so Peter does have supporters in his hand, so he's not just going to roll over and lose this game. It's just that was all that he happened to draw off at the end. It was just a bunch of unplayable supporters on that turn. But does have this Cynthia, can take another shot at trying to find some Grubbins here. And he's going to need to find another Tapu Bulu GX at this point too, because this one in the active is going to go down.
Right. No matter what actually happens, unless Peter just retreats, there's actually no situation at this point where, unless Kyle decides to pass or Guzma something on the bench, that he's going to be able to not get knocked out by this Tapu Bulu. Now, if this is the only Grubbin, then I think, then there might actually be a way this Tapu Bulu makes it to the next turn. So
yeah, if this is the only Grubbin, then certainly removing that as the only option for Vikavolt hitting the board, certainly what Kyle would want to do here. You've got to imagine that for Premonition and trade, it's very possible that he can make that Guzma happen, as here comes the Horn attack for another 30, slowly chipping away at the Gallade. Not what Kica really wants to be doing here.
Yeah, and this is where I gotta say that if you're from Peter's side, I'd almost rather have that Grass Energy on the Tapu Bulu here, even though you're probably gonna lose and it goes down. If Kyle were to actually pull off the Guzma on that Grubbin, then Tapu Bulu's not gonna be able to actually attack next turn, and you're gonna actually be 10 short with your Tapu Lele as well.
Right.
So you're still going to be in a sitting duck position if he's able to pull off that Guzma. I don't think he's going to be able to.
Doesn't look like it, but he does have double puzzle in his hands.
Rare Candy and Gardevoir.
He can build up a Gardevoir already, really come out swinging. He's going to retreat with this double colorless energy.
And then he's going to puzzle it back.
Oh, that's clever.
That's where he's going with this. I think that's what he's doing.
That's really
He doesn't
clever.
have one in the discard pile, and he wants to attack with something that's not that Gallade to be able to save it for later. So,
really great order of operations coming out of Kyle. Gets the Rare Candy Gardevoir, puts the double colorless down on the active, then goes with the Premonition. And we'll see what cards he finds here. And there's the Parallel City in case he wants to go into that. Rearranging the top 5, setting up his next turn. Knocks out the Tapu Bulu, which means, well, the Grubbin is in play, but I mean, there's really nothing else happening on Peter's board in the current moment.
Yeah, and he does take that first puzzle of time, which means the next time he takes Surprise, based on the way it looks like it's going, he's going to have the second puzzle of time. This game is closing out fast. I mean, we've got 22 minutes remaining, so there's going to be a victor, but both players right now are gunning for this. Peter is going at a really speed. Unfortunately, it's not getting the cards necessarily that he wants to be able to put up the fight that he's going for, but he is not giving up just yet. He does get that Rare Candy Vikavolt. He gets an energy onto the Vikavolt itself, get that one ready to go and attack. He's got his Tapu Lele going for the energy drive here, but Kyle is going to say, no way. He's going to be putting his foot on the gas. He wants this top 8.
Yeah, and Peter just has no supporter either, so that's really the best that he can do in this situation. And Kyle going to start to continue trading This is a premonition now after the first trade and see, okay, I've already dug 2, let's dig 5 deeper and see which 2 I want the most. Max Potion certainly seems like an interesting one to take.
He quickly figures out, he's like, I think I know what I want here. This Max Potion's a really, really nice card, but I'm already holding another double colorless energy in hand.
Yep, gonna consider what to trade away. Going to be his 1 of Floatstone. There's a Max Potion in Fairy Energy. Guzma's up for Vikavolt, and he's going to Sensitive Blade and knock out Vikavolt with this double colorless energy that he has after Max Potioning. And this is just a brutal turn. I think Kyle is going to seal this match up with this play here.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that Peter's going to be able to do at this point. I don't like to call it as early as this, but he does also get that other puzzle out of his prize.
There
Putting the
is
2.
the handshake.
There is the handshake. Kyle Sabelhaus is advancing to the top 8 of Charlotte Regional Championships. Peter Kica getting a solid finish still. Wonderful performance from both players here, but gosh, Kyle's got to be bursting with energy right now.
Yeah, it was an insane game 3 out of him. He basically just had everything he could possibly want. It goes to show, if you set up Gallade early, you make a lot of magic happen. With just a 1 trade, maybe 2 trades, you can just access pretty much exactly what you want off the top of your deck.
Absolutely. So guys, we will be back in just a moment. We're about to bring you the first interview with our solidified top 8 member, Kyle Sabelhaus. Give us just a moment so we can tell you exactly how he feels after this.